For coming, especially when it's such a nice day and you can be sat outside and stuff. So I think I might have introduced myself to everybody already, but for anybody that doesn't know, I'm Brenda Hector. I'm a business growth specialist. I help business owners to grow their businesses, to work less hours, make more money and get better results from their staff. But I'm also a bit of a champion for women in business. I went to a networking event once where they were launching the Rose Review of Female Entrepreneurship. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but basically it's a document commissioned by the UK government, and they found that only 1 in 3 entrepreneurs in the UK are female, and men are 5 times more likely to scale their business up to over $1 million in turnover than women are. If we did match and scale men to the same, grow our businesses to the same extent as men, it would add 250 billion to the UK economy. And given the state of the UK economy, we'd really be doing that. So I thought, well, I've got a toolkit as an action coach, as a business growth specialist that can help. But one of the other issues is that women don't see entrepreneurship as an option. So I launched a podcast where I started interviewing female business owners to hear their story, learn their challenges, and let other women say, oh well, she's just like me, I could do that. Or to learn where to go, where to find the support, or just to get, because you can't be what you don't see. If you don't see it as an option, then, so that's what I've done. And Anne was my first interviewee in 2021. So I've had a bit of a break for a wee while, and we're pushing on, trying to get the message out, basically. So I met Gail at the back there. This wouldn't happen if it wasn't for bumping into Gail at a networking event, who was looking for businesses that could host interns at the end of last year. So, I could do that. I could be doing with somebody to help me get in the podcast to a wider audience. So then comes Kellyanne behind the camera there. Yeah. Kellyanne joined me for a few weeks, started in November last year, and increased the reach of the podcast by, I think we said 430%, just in a really short time. So the internship ended, but Kellyanne's still working for me, editing and creating the copy and getting the message out there. And when I first met Kellyanne, she said, it'd be really good if you did a live thing. Okay. Well, we got a bit busy and it didn't happen, and then she pushed me a bit harder, and then in the midst of her dissertation and her final exams and everything, she said, let's do that today. So here we are. So what I was looking for was a panel that I could interview, and that we could kind of show entrepreneurship to the students of the university. So each of these amazing women, I've actually interviewed them before, so if you want to go and find out about their business experiences, you can go and have a listen. ScaleHerUp's on all the podcast platforms. But today we're going to talk about how they got into business, because all 3 of you have got a different route that you've come to it through. And then we're going to talk about the other stuff that you do, where you're supporting other women and young people to build great businesses. Okay, that's not a surprise to you.
No, that is not. That's absolutely fact.
So, Anne Johnson is the co-founder of Blaze Manufacturing Solutions, based in Lawrencekirk. Started in a shed in your garden.
It's a summer house that you'll find.
Summer house, sorry. That's a bit posher. They have posh sheds where she comes from. And Tracy Franz of TopPA Consulting. Tracy runs a virtual assistant agency, and she's also pushing her business to help people with managing time. Yeah, so we'll talk a bit about that. And Maya also has a virtual assistant business, and always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So it's a very, very different route. So I'm going to sit down, and we've got about 15 minutes each. Would somebody keep an eye, Kellyanne, if you're behind the camera? Just give me a flag when I've talked too long. So Anne, we'll start with you because you're just right next to me. Tell us how you got into business.
So I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was quite happy in ConocoPhillips, so a massive global company, had Starbucks downstairs. I found it, if you work for a large organisation, the way to stand out is just basically to say, I can help with that, just be helpful, just be nice, smile, helpful. And I was in a really nice position where I was supporting the Middle East in their data, and I would get trips abroad, so happy days for me. And then my husband left his job at a global company and set up a company in our shed, as you put it. And
It's a summer house thing.
it was in the part-time, and the reason he did it was he left his staff job and he went contract, and he was really bored. And if I tell you that he got £850 a day, and that was 18 years ago, you can understand he's a specialist in what he does, global specialist. And he would phone me up at work and say, I'm really bored, and I'd say, well, I'm not doing cartwheels, but we've got a mortgage to pay. And so he set up this company. So we ran it for, our first contract was £1 million, but that's because of reputation, because of what we do. We're an engineering company, fire systems, and in India. And our son joined the business, and then I eventually went into the business. Everybody thought I'd just pitched up one day. They didn't realise that for the last 4 years I had been doing all the accounts every night and every weekend and all the admin stuff. So I was just Howie's wife, and that's a really tough place to be when you own the business and everybody just refers to you as Howie's wife. So that was quite a journey.
So, a family business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my dad worked for us. When he left, he was 80. So he worked for us, me and Howard, and our two kids, our two boys, who are now in their 30s. I can't actually pin down on their exact age because I can't remember. Ages ago, and they just make fun of me for that. So one still works for us. He's in a shipyard right as we speak in Holland, and he's head of our operations. And the other son, he left us 2 years ago, and he's now a nuclear. He's working on the nuclear sites, doing fire safety for Hinkley Point, which is an unbelievable leap. And which job does he prefer? He prefers working for a family business, because he used to go offshore, used to go on site, and now it's theoretical, and it's all people that have spent their whole lives at university, and theoretically they are absolutely on the ball with the right people, but they just need Andrew, who has that real life experience of what really happens on a site. So we're still very much a family business, very much so, and that's very different from working for a corporate business.
So what are the opportunities and challenges that you face as a woman in business right now?
There's been a lot of opportunities actually, because I stand out in a room very much. I'm loud, I'm Mancunian, I sound like I'm from Manchester. Originally I was, I've been 40 years up here. At the minute, in nuclear, in industrial, in renewables, all the talk is about that northern powerhouse, which is Manchester and across. So up here we're known for oil and gas. The northern powerhouse is known for renewables and particularly nuclear. So when you go to London, you find that people want to talk to you, because one, they assume you live in Manchester, which is absolutely fine. And then the other thing is you're a woman, so I'll always, if I'm at something like this, I will always ask a question. You say your name, who you work for, and you ask, a well thought out question. And that highlights to the audience who you are, and people will always come and speak to you afterwards. Challenges. The challenges can be, so I saw this post, I was on a flight going to London, and there was this lady that I know who was complaining that the person next to her thought she was going to London for like a nice weekend, whereas in actual fact we were both going to the same event, and it was very high profile. And I was on the plane reading a Hello magazine, listening into the three guys behind me who were talking about a contract we were desperately trying to win in Europe, and I just had the most amazing nugget of information, because I'm completely unassuming. People just think I am going to London for a lovely time. Never tell anybody, just go with it. Whereas she put on a LinkedIn post about how she was disgusted that somebody thought she wasn't an industry leader. And I wrote a comment to say, use it as your superpower, use it as your cape, because you just go in under the radar completely, and it can be a real, it's like you're the spy, just point.
Brilliant. Who won that contract then? Them or you?
We
Well,
did.
Yeah.
It wasn't against them. No, we did. We won it, and it's 5.4 million's worth. So yeah, it was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Based on the nugget that you heard.
We didn't think this particular contract was going to be placed. This was a couple of years ago, and we thought it won't go through, and it did. And you think if something's not going to go through, you concentrate somewhere else. Your attention's somewhere else. But because we'd heard that it was going to go through, then you concentrate more on that. So yeah, we got over the line.
Brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. So I was saying that I want to help women get their business up to over $1 million, and you said your first contract was $1 million. What's it like dealing in those big numbers? Is business easier when the numbers are bigger?
No, it's terrifying. I wish we had a lot more smaller. Well, our average deal is probably 1.2 and above. When we started Blaze, we had the first 8 years of exponential growth, which means we doubled our turnover every year. So 3.2 million, 7.6 I think it was, then 12, then 18. And I always thought that if you win a big contract, you have the celebration, we've won the contract, and then the reality that you have to deliver it. The problem is cash flow, always cash flow, working capital. And we took the very smart move to get a parent company, become part of a bigger entity in 2019, because we couldn't win, as a privately owned company, we couldn't fund and we couldn't win those massive contracts because they all have warranty bonds in renewables. So we're going through this transition from oil and gas to renewables. Oil and gas, you don't need warranty bonds. So for renewables, you have to put 10% of the order value away in a bank for 8 years. So that's what a warranty bond is. So it gives us a much credibility, to be honest, because it's Balmoral Group, and they believe in helping smaller companies, particularly family businesses and communities. That was a good decision.
Yeah. And still growing.
Still growing. I think last year we'll do about 8 million. This year we're aiming for 12. And we really wanted to do 10 this year, last year, but Hinkley Point got delayed. So the decisions, the delays in a project mean you're not having that turnover within that financial year. So that's why, and it's such a big sway, that the big contracts can be difficult, whereas your £100,000 contracts, they're easier to manage, they're quicker turnover, and you get the money quicker.
We read Shoe Dog, which is about Nike Film Night, is that his name? Yeah. And there's a chapter in there where he talks about they're doing millions and millions, and they still just about went bust. They didn't have enough cash flow to make payroll 1 month, and they were like begging and borrowing from all the bank accounts to get it enough to pay their staff. And so even the millions, still really.
If you've got a business that's making more than £100 a year in profit, you're doing better than probably about 60% of the companies in Aberdeen. These massive companies, it's really hard to make money. It's really hard to make money in renewables. And when you see a company that's lost money, because we know so many of the business owners, because they're just like us and we see them all the time, you'll think a company's doing really well, and then you meet them and you say, how are you getting on? And they're like, and you just think, oh no. Because it's about your external, it's that marketing piece, it's everything to your company. To increase confidence in you're a safe bet. It's tough to make money in renewables.
Thank you. So, you're outgoing co-president of the Association of Scottish Businesswomen.
Yes.
You've been involved in that for a long time, I think. Yeah. Tell us a bit about ASB and what you do there.
So I meet loads of people, particularly women, in business, and a few years ago I'd been to this award ceremony in Glasgow, and it just felt like a complete fish out of water. I was up for Businesswoman of the Year in Scotland, which I always think's a bit weird because I never considered myself an entrepreneur. My husband is an incredible engineer, and we have amazing people at Blaze who are really top of the game. And so I'm just the facilitator, if you like. Somebody comes up with an idea and then I deliver it. So ASB had asked me to do a talk about it, and I'd been to this water ceremony and felt like a fish out of water. And then the next day I went to Bridge of Allen to give a talk, and I walked into that room and I thought, these are my lobsters, these are my people. And it's people like I was probably 17 years ago when we first started Blaze. And some have got small companies, some have got big companies. We're a real mix of people, and we also have people who are in corporate organisations. I know it's completely not for profit, no one gets a penny, and we just have events all around Scotland. There's all groups all around the different towns in Scotland. There's eight affiliate groups. They're like £40 to join. It's nothing a year when you consider the other commercial models that there are. All the people in the various locations, they're at the top of their game, and they want to give their help for free, totally for free. So it's just wonderful. It's the most wonderful organisation.
Do you think that women are more open to giving their help to other women?
Yeah. So I said to my husband, how come you don't do anything for anyone else? And his first thing is, yeah, but you do it all. And he spent all his time out of work, you do it all. So I think this family gives enough. And I said, well, would you ever do that? And he's like, I'm busy. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I'm not aware of a men's organisation. Now I think about it, because there's amazing men that set up businesses. And to be frank, I will help anybody, and I do help anybody. But I think women are more open to help. It's like asking directions, isn't it? Someone will say to you, I don't know about this.
Yeah. In a lot of the interviews that I've done with businesswomen, when I say, what can we do? They're like, help people. If there's any challenges, ask for help, because people are more than willing to give it. What help have you had over the years? Who's supported you?
So in the early days of Blaze, that was 18 years ago, there was no help, there was no grants we set up. I mean, we had to have a bigger mortgage to fund Blaze, which was a real risk. I went to a life coach called Sue Prentice when I first joined Blaze full time, like during the day, and I was Howie's wife, and she taught me how to ask a question, ask somebody to do something. So instead of saying, could you do this report for me if you've got time, I know you're really busy, and then you're making excuses for them. They've not said a word, by the way, and they're just thinking, oh, I don't have to do this. You ask, can you do this by 3 o'clock? Then we'll get together, and you walk away. It's the walking away that's the key thing. Ask, and then walk away. You're not getting into a debate. So Sue was really good. I met her 2 or 3 times. It's probably going to talks where I've learned things, and I've also learned that people that are really famous have all the same problems you have as well. So we've all got the same things going on in our lives.
I'm totally going off script now. You have the stuff going on in your lives and the stuff going on in your business. How do you manage? I mean, you've got a family business. You've obviously got the stuff that happens in life and still keeping track of business. I think it's harder when you're a business owner than when you're an employee. Would you agree?
Yeah, I just had a meeting this morning, and we were talking about something I haven't done. And people think they know, they're stressed, and you're worried about them. And then I said to one of them, imagine how I feel. Because your house is up. Because you guarantee your business against your house. If it wasn't for Balmoral, we couldn't do what we do in Shadow, and the support we get from them is amazing. The businesses that are relying on the bank, that's a whole different thing. It's really hard to borrow money. It's really hard to fund projects. Probably Jimmy Milne has helped us more than anybody. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, Sir Jim does so much that people don't know. And their team up there, the board, are really helpful as well. So it's like we all band together. It tends to be other women that you talk to, but we've got a great network, and that would be my one takeaway, is get the really good people.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to women in business?
It's your network. It's your network is absolutely everything. And when you go to something, go and talk to the speaker. So I came down and spoke to as many people as I could, because I want to know what are you doing. LinkedIn is the thing. I know everyone hates it, but it is, at the minute, that's the tool that everyone uses.
Thank you. If anybody's got any questions for Anne, we'll have questions for everybody at the end. So yeah, now we'll get on to Tracy. Tracy's a good friend of mine and my longest standing client. Tracy, how did you get into business and why?
Well, I've always been in administration and cost control. I worked always in corporate companies in South Africa, and then I got involved in oil and gas. I was in oil and gas for 10 years as a project administrator, cost controller, following rigs around the world, looking after a team of about 20 men, being their mother, their sister, their agony aunt, whatever they needed. But it got to the point where I just actually really wanted to have a life. I wanted to be able to walk the dog out. You know, I was away from home for 6 to 9 months of the year. I loved it. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I really did have a lot of fun on these other projects and that, but it got to the point where I just really wanted to be home. We were at that stage, the company I was working for were doing a lot of redundancies. So I held out, hoping I was going to get a redundancy after 10 years. I thought, oh, I'll get a good payout and whatever. They didn't make me redundant. They just kept me on, and then, but they kept loading me with more and more and more. So that was when the stage came that I was like, no, I have to do something. So, and I've always wanted to run my own business. So then I came across the brand SmartPA, which is a franchise, and I thought, well, this gives me the opportunity to use my skills, project management, admin, and whatever, and to grow my business beyond my own capacity, because I could become a virtual assistant, and then I could grow to having other people work for me as well. So yeah, and then so I left oil and gas, took the leap, and bought into the franchise, and that's where 8 years ago my business started.
So, what's the journey been like?
Up and down. It's been, I think in the beginning, it was all shiny and new, and you know, a lot of fun, and you know, I didn't know enough people in Aberdeen to be able to bring the clients. But and that's what was the nice thing about being online and being virtual, is that I could go anywhere to find my clients. But it was hard. I mean, it was different. It was a lot of hard work in the beginning, obviously, because I was doing all the work. So I was doing all the work in the business, and then I met Brenda about a year into my business, I think it was. And yeah, she was, you need to build a business that works without you. And that was when I started really working on building a business that was beyond my own capacity, So yeah, I think it's been a journey. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. There's been a lot of learning, and I think that's one of the biggest things, is just to continually learn and continually see what else is out there to build onto it.
So what do you think are the opportunities and challenges that are facing women in business today?
I think one of the biggest things is definitely that we are competing in a male-dominated industry in terms of entrepreneurship. As Brenda was saying earlier, there's so few of us that are actually going out there and actually building businesses. One of the biggest things for me that I have found, and especially in the field that I'm working in the virtual assistant, is that complete employee mindset versus the business owner's mindset. So when we're in a corporate company as a woman, we are continually trying to be masculine. We're trying to, to compete in that sense, but then at the same time, we're doing what we're told. So we very much are putting ourselves into a position where okay, this is the job, this is how I do it, and that's it. So when we actually come out of that and you're trying to go into entrepreneurship and to become a business woman in your own right and to run a business, it becomes very difficult, because your mindset has to change. So I think that's the biggest thing with anything when you're starting off as an entrepreneur, is having that mindset of, this is me, it's about me, it's about nobody else. I need to make this work for me. I don't need to rely on anybody. I need to make it work for me. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, is that an opportunity or a challenge? I think it's both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's definitely. It's challenging. It is, because you don't know what you don't know, and I think that's also where you need to understand that you about finding your tribe, having your connections, making sure that you go out there and you find out, you ask the questions, and go out and do the networking, get a business coach. And I think,
Good show.
yeah. I don't think my business would be where it is today, and I say this often, without Brenda, because as I say, you don't know what you don't know. So as a business owner, and also being a South African, coming in here, I didn't know what business was like here. It's the same anywhere in the world, people say, but there are little intricacies. People work differently. The personalities are different. The way people are brought up are different. So there's so much to learn. So I think that was a lot for me to learn. And I mean, there have been a lot of challenges as well. Personal challenges that I've dealt with over the years. Battling with migraines to the extent that 50% of my working time was taken away from my migraines. But I think that it also pushed me to make sure that my business was able to look after me during those times. And once again, having my tribe around me, having the connections and the network around me, the people who love me and be there for me.
Let's just touch on time, because that's what you're helping a lot of people with now.
Yeah.
A lot of business people, men and women maybe might even argue more so, struggle with managing their time.
Yeah.
You got like one piece of advice to business owners or students about managing their time?
I think you've got to take it right down to the bottom and step by step. Step by step is my biggest thing. I've got a thing on my board, my vision board, which is an elephant and it's cut up into pieces. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And it's about very much multitasking is not a thing. We all learn that yes, you're going to multitask. Yes, it works sometimes. You can listen to a podcast and wash dishes or make a meal. But when you're working, just take it step by step and do one thing at a time and do it well. There was something that's called the Parkinson's law. I don't know if you've heard of that, which basically states that time will expand to be able to fit what you need to do. So for me, that means very much that focus. Take it one step at a time and focus on that one thing. Because if you've got 20 minutes to do something, make that 20 minutes really work for yourself. I mean, you own it.
Awesome. Parkinson's law.
Parkinson's law, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I know that the amount of work you've got to do expands to the time you've got to do it.
Yeah, basically. So I mean, that's it. I mean, and it does. You've just got to actually focus on that one thing, and everything else will fall into place.
So, can you tell us about the Young Entrepreneurs Smart Start program, Tracy?
The Yes Foundation. So what we do with the Yes Foundation is we help students and young people between the ages of 12 and 22 with business skills. So as we all know, we go through school, we don't really learn what we need to do in business. So you get out of school, you get out of university, it's like, what's next? How do I become an entrepreneur? No, that's not for me, I can't do that. Because, and I remember feeling like that way when I was, getting out of school. It's like, I'm not good enough to do that. You see other people building businesses, you don't feel, and it all comes back down to you don't know what you don't know. So if we can give students and young people the education, the business, the basics, the smart start to be able to become an entrepreneur, especially the woman, we can build and we can make that 2.5 billion, did you say? 250 billion for the UK economy, If we can just teach people that, yes, it's okay, you can go out there. And I think starting early with the 12-year-olds, it's very much about how do you handle your finances? How do you do a budget? How do you start off by doing a business plan and creating a vision board, that actually supports you to become the entrepreneur that you want to be? So it's a free program. It's a free program. 12 weeks, yeah. You listen to a couple of videos from Brad Sugars, that's obviously ActionCOACH. And then you get together with myself or another facilitator once a week, where we do it online or in person depending on where we all are, where we just go through what was your greatest find of that week. Have you got any questions? Is there anything else you would like to learn? And we just help you, give you our knowledge that can complement whatever you're learning on the course as well. And it's completely 100% free. It's intended to be finished within 12 weeks. Some people do it less. I mean, there are students who are on the program who have become facilitators themselves. they've moved into that leadership role before they even actually get. I mean, there's a 15-year-old guy that actually, he was like, no, I want to facilitate now. He's done the 12 weeks and he's flying. He's now facilitating his own cohorts as well.
And at the end of the 12 weeks, they have a business plan.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have a business plan. So the assignments are very simple. You do a vision board and you do a vision plan, a vision board, a business plan, and then basically a video pitch of yourself explaining what your business does. So it really sets you up well gives you that presentation skills, gives you the organization skills that you need, and helps you to understand where do you want to go, because you're going to get to the end of the 12 weeks and think, I want to be an entrepreneur, or no, actually I'm happy to just go into a job and do my job, So it takes all that unnecessary time away with what I'm going to do next.
Brilliant. So I put some flyers on all the seats. You maybe should take a few, Gail. I've got some more there. Yes, if anybody's interested, or you know of somebody that might be interested, get them to scan the QR code, and that will get them in contact with me and Tracy. So, thank you, Tracy. Maya, last but not least.
Best till last.
So, how and why did you get into business?
So I always wanted to have my own business. When I was at school, I went through school. That was always, I wanted to have my own business, but there weren't a lot of people that you kind of saw running their own businesses, and this was like right at the start of Instagram becoming a thing, but you didn't really see. Deborah Meaden was the only person, the only woman that I could think of who I knew at the time who was a woman who was running her own business. So other than that, you didn't see anybody, and I went to careers advice and was like, I want to run my own business, but it was very much no, go to university. So I know we're at university just now, but so that's what I did, because that's what people told me to do, to be honest. I went to university in Edinburgh, and I said at the time to my family, to my teachers, I'm just going to kill 4 years of my life. I'm going to go get the degree, make everybody happy, but then I want to run my own business.
What did you study?
Sociology, and I loved it. It was a subject that I wanted to study. I enjoyed it at school, and thought I'll study something that I know I'll enjoy and I'll find it really interesting, and I'll get the university experience. And it was amazing. I'm glad I went. I got a lot of life experience. I learned so much from going. But it kind of came to the end of the course, and I thought, right, it's my 4th year. I'm going to leave soon, and if I want to start my own business, I need to actually do something about it, because I really didn't want to leave having not done anything, because I knew when you're leaving there's a lot of pressure. Everybody's applying for grad jobs and all these amazing schemes and amazing kind of traditional jobs for civil service and for all these wonderful things, and that's a lot of pressure if you don't know what you're going to do. So I really thought, if I'm going to start my own business, I need to know what I'm doing, because I don't want to leave and then fall into a job that's not really what I want to do. So at Edinburgh they have, it's called Edinburgh Innovations. It's kind of a business support service connected to the university. So I got involved with them, and whilst I've been at university in Edinburgh, it's a very young city, so there's lots of protests all the time, and I learned a lot about the environment while I was there, and sustainability, and it was about the time of Greta Thunberg and all the protests and school strike for climate and all of those things. And I also worked in hospitality whilst I was at university at Murrayfield, and I saw a lot of the waste that goes on and kind of saw that firsthand. So I thought, right, I'm going to start a business, but I want to start a business that is doing something good and not adding to the problem. So I actually decided I was going to start a sustainable gifting business, which is a world away from what I do now, but I applied Edinburgh University, the innovations organisation, did like a business ideas competition. So I applied for that, and I came 3rd, I think, and I won £250, and I was buzzing. To me, that was so much money as a student. And I used that to buy my first stock for my gift boxes and set up a little website. And then it was COVID, it was 2020, so I was still graduating, still at uni, but it was COVID. So I really just put all of my time into this gifting business, because my course had pretty much finished and I was being paid furlough from my hospitality jobs, and there was no jobs, there was nothing else to do. And in a way, I think, although COVID was an awful time, for me it took away a lot of that pressure. The pressure to leave university and get a job was gone, because all of the grad schemes were pulled and there were no jobs. So it really kind of gave me that space to be like, this is what I want to do, and I can just do it, and nobody's expecting me to do anything else because there's nothing else to do. So I kind of went all in on that, and then about a year or so into doing the gifting business, I kind of realised that in order to be able to live off this business, it needed to be on quite a big scale, because the whole idea was that it was cheaper to buy these boxes than it would be to buy the products individually. So that meant we needed to on quite a big scale to actually make any money to live off. I kind of had this realisation. I thought, right, I need to get some kind of job to go alongside this, because the world was starting to open up and the furlough had ended and there was pressure to actually start making some money. So I went, applied for different jobs and internships and all kinds of things. And in the end, somebody that I met through the gifting business was looking for a virtual assistant, and I applied to work with them. And I started working with them for 15 hours a week, just on like a freelance basis. And from there, I kind of thought, oh, I'm really organised, I love a good list. And I've learned all this marketing during COVID. I've done courses and programs, really with the view to promoting the gifting business. But I kind of developed all these skills, and I thought, actually, I can make a go of this. And people saw me working with this first client and kind of gradually grew the client base from there. And I was just doing it freelance, probably for about 6 months. And then I thought, right, I'm gonna go all in on this. I'm gonna kind of put a pause on the gifting business, because the work that needs to go into that to scale it to a point where it's viable is just so much. And I kind of just had to make a call of one or the other. So I went all in on the virtual assistant business, but I decided the whole reason that I just started the gifting business was because I wanted to do something that was good for the planet. So I thought I'm going to work as a virtual assistant, but mainly for focusing on sustainable businesses and supporting businesses that share that ethos that I have. So I went all in on that, and it's kind of gradually grown from there over the last 3.5, 4 years. And there's 4 of us now. We're a little team of 4, which is wild. And about a couple of years ago, 18 months ago maybe, I got One Young Edge, which was amazing. So we got £10,000 funding to pay for taking on a team member, and for their first 6 months kind of probation period. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because there's always, with a service business, there's always this point of you're at capacity, and then you need to take on more work in order to be able to pay for a new team member, but you can't pay for the team member until you have more work, but you don't want to have the work if you've got nobody to do it. So it's like that catch-22. So that really provided a buffer when we got that funding to enable us to take on somebody and then to grow, but also to give me the confidence that, you know, we can do this, we can make it work. And yeah, here we are now.
So actually, teams are a really important part of all of your businesses. How do you find the right people?
I think that's definitely something I've learned more over time. A couple of the people who work with me I know, or I knew before they started working with me, which really helps because you kind of already have that pre-existing trust. One of them was doing marketing for a firm over in Dublin, and she was over there for 2 years, and during that time I was constantly headhunting her, being like, are you sure you don't want to come and work with me? You know, you can travel the world, it's work remotely. And in the end she did, which is amazing. And it's really great to have her on the team, and we've got that pre-existing trust, which is amazing. I think as well, over time I've kind of learned, like, I'm not the loudest person in the room, and I'm definitely not, that's not my leadership style. I'm not really loud, I'm quite a quiet person. And I think over time, as the business has grown and I've learned myself, I've also learned what kind of people work well on that team and what creates that dynamic that really works. And I think because we're virtual as well, you have to be the right type of person where you can get on with things and move things forward under your own steam and on your own, because we're not in an office like sitting there going, has that been done?
Yeah.
There's not that. You have to be able to move things forward yourself.
Yeah, for your own business and for your clients.
Exactly. Yeah, for both. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the opportunities and challenges facing you and other women in business, do you think?
I think there's so many opportunities, and I definitely have been really lucky with so many opportunities that have come my way. But also I think the harder you work, the more opportunities definitely come, and the more you take opportunities, the more opportunities come. Even things like doing this, like, is an amazing opportunity, and it's not, public speaking is definitely not my comfort zone, but the more I do it, the easier it gets, and I really try to push myself to do these things, and the more I do it, the more I enjoy it as well. So I think it is about taking the opportunities, and the more you take, the more opportunities come. And people want to support you, kind of like what you were saying, people want to help, and you have to be able to ask ask for it, but also put yourself out there for those opportunities. Put your hand up, say, you know, I'm happy to do public speaking at this if you need anybody, those kinds of things. I think the biggest challenge I find is just the pressure. I think there's so much pressure of running your own business that just everything stops with you. You're responsible for so much, and I think that's something I maybe when 16-year-old me I thought, oh, I want to run my own business. I didn't quite realise the pressure that comes with that, and I think unless you experience it, you can't quite understand the pressure of just everything stops with you. You're so responsible for so many things, and that, especially being young, I think has been a big thing to get used to. But the more you deal with it, the more you realise actually I'm so much more resilient than I thought, and I can cope, you know, under the pressure, and I still haven't broken. So
there's a bit of a two sides to it though, because there's also a lot of freedom that comes from having your own business.
Definitely.
A lot of the people that I talk to are, you know, working mums. I was an interview I did recently where she could have taken a job, but that would have meant that she was out of the house. You know, she was working 9 to 5, and with travelling time, she just wouldn't have been a mother. So she couldn't do that. Single parent actually. So having her own business has given her an amazing ability to be flexible. Yeah, I think we've got some in the room as well. Yeah. But yeah, so there's pressure, but there's also freedom.
oh, definitely, yeah, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I love the constant challenge. Every day is a new challenge, and the growth is a challenge, growing personally, growing the business, and I find that so fulfilling. And even, to be honest, the pressure is part of that, but the pressure is what almost makes you grow, and it can be an amazing part of that as well. But yeah, I mean, I definitely find it so fulfilling. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
A lot of people that I talk to this, so this is to all three of you actually, would you go back to an employed role?
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
Never.
I think there's a we did this course at the London Stock Exchange, and they brought in really famous people. So it's the Dragons from Dragon's Den, and the lady that runs Mum's Net, and I remember the guy from Moonpig.com, and Nick Jenkins is one of the funniest people I've ever met. And he said this, he's not me saying this, he said he's a terrible business person, but he'd like stumbled his way. He sold his business for £123 million.
Wow.
But he'd given a lot of it away because he'd had to bring people into the business. So it's who you surround yourself with. And he was interested. It's interesting to see really famous people saying that they're just terrible. They make terrible decisions, and you do. You can't win at everything.
No.
But you just try your best. And owning a big business was likened to being in prison, being in a family business, because by somebody at an event it was a family business event at a lawyer's company a few years ago, and they were talked about, you can't get out. How'd you get out? I was one that famously told Nick Nairn that he shouldn't have called his business Nick Nairn, because I said, way to go. How are you going to get out of that? And he's like, I know. and so thankfully our business isn't called Johnson & Johnson. I wish it was. I wish we had that. It's Blaze. So it's how do you get out? Can you leave your own business if things are really tough? We went through a really tough period a few years ago, and we weren't earning any money, because that's the other deal, is if you're not making any money, everyone's getting paid but you. And that's what our business, and I said to Howard, one of us is going to have to leave, and it's going to have to be me, isn't it? I won't get a job. And he said, you can't leave, because it's just a signal that everything's a disaster. So you're in, your kids are in. When Andrew left, when Andrew left, Jamie has never forgiven him, because he left the family business. But he's now, he's now doing really well. I'm really proud of him. It's less pressure. The more family members that are in your business, the harder it is, because that pressure. And I nearly snorted with laughter when you said it gives you freedom. I think it does in the early days. I think in the smaller days it does. The second you take on, say, more than 10 people, or you're tipping like 5 million, you're 24 hours a day. It's 24 hours a day. Our phone rings 24 hours a day. It can be a shipyard, it can be offshore, it can be abroad. Your holidays are always based around work. So we go on holiday to facilitate what's happening at Blaze. My husband has never been on holiday without his laptop. He works all the time. He works far So I think somebody said in Hollywood you should sell your business at a certain stage, and we've missed it. We've missed it because we're lifers now. So you'll retire out the business and hand it on to others. But there is no freedom when it gets bigger. It's that monkey on your back the whole time.
We should talk. So Maya, back to you. Do you want to tell us a bit about the BWC Futures group that you're involved with?
Yeah, so there's 3 of us who are ambassadors for the BWC Futures group, myself and Katie and Hannah, and it's basically a group for girls 16 to 25 years old, and it's all about really kind of community and network and inspiring and supporting each other, and inspiring and supporting kind of the future generation of women entrepreneurs, women leaders, and leaders in companies as well, not just kind of business leaders. And we do an event every 2 months on all kinds of topics. So the last topic we had was all about finances and managing your personal finances, which is really good. We've got one next week all about networking, called Your Network is Your Net Worth. So kind of all about that and how to make the most of that and how to lean into that, especially when you're early on in your career. So yeah, there's no membership or anything, you can just come along to the events, and there's really low cost ticket to come along for
£5 per person next
even
week.
a snack, it's still fairly new group, but it's a lovely kind of welcoming place, so definitely would recommend.
I was trying to suggest to my daughters who are 17 and 20 that they come along, but it's quite out of their comfort zone. So yeah, is it difficult to get younger people to start networking? You know, obviously we're members of the oldies of BWC, Businesswoman Connect. And you're obviously very young in that group. Is it harder to get younger people to do that?
I think it is, but I think that's kind of the whole purpose of the group, is that you are surrounded by other young women who all have things in common, and that's really nice, and it is a really nice kind of vibe, really friendly. And often people come on their own, and definitely, absolutely, that's fine. But sometimes if you are more confident to come with a friend, or you can definitely do that as well, and you'll definitely still talk to other people. Everybody will talk to you. So.
Good, yeah, I'm sure it's very welcoming. So yeah, if they search for BWC Futures, they'll find it.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on all the major platforms.
So Maya, what one piece of advice would you give to an aspiring businesswoman?
I think there's so many. I think just believing in yourself and kind of sticking to your guns. Like if you know what you want to do, you have to believe in yourself and just kind of go for it and put the work in and keep going and take all the opportunities that come your way, especially in the early days. Just say yes to everything and take everything and take the learnings that come from it, even if it doesn't go exactly the way that you wanted. But yeah, I think you have to kind of have that internal just resilience and fire to keep going, even when inevitably things will not go your way. There will be highs, but there will also be lows, and to kind of trust that even in the low points you will come out the other end, and there will be the next high.
Good, thank you. So yeah, thank you all. Does anybody have any questions to my guests today?
What's been the highest high and the lowest low of each of your businesses? How did you grow from the lows and take advice from the highs? How did you grow with it?
Well, I just start because I know what mine is. My highest and my lowest was all in the same day. So we were.
That's business, by the way.
Yeah. We were. It was at the start of the transition, so it was 2014. We just walked away from a deal to sell Blaze for 20 million. Oh yeah, we are those people. And then the downturn came, and you know when you're in trouble 3 months before it happens, because it's always cash flow, always. And it was in the January of 2015, I think 14 or 15, I can't remember. And a letter came to work, and it was an invitation to number 10, and to say that we had got a place as one of the top 1,000 companies of inspiration for the UK because of what we'd previously done. And I thought it was a joke, and I phoned up, and it was true. So the problem was, it was in 2 months' time, and I knew we were going bankrupt in 3 months' time, because we were in that early stage of the transition, which is really hard to get working. And I I knew we'd not laid anybody off, we'd raced through our cash. So we went to London, got off the plane, and I had a massive panic attack because I thought, I can't do this. This is, you know, they're going to know, and we're going to be outed, and blah blah blah. So we went to Stock Exchange, and we were shown to a different room than everyone else could hear everybody in the other room, and then it turned out we were one of the top 10 companies in the UK of inspiration. And then we were taken to number 10, and we were standing outside of number 10. It was all over the newspapers, and it was Howard and I standing outside of number 10. And if you really look closely at the picture, my eyes look completely dead because I am still in absolute wonderment as one, how were we there? Because we're going bankrupt and we're the worst people in the world. But we've been invited, went to number 10, and the head of the stock exchange told the whole audience that if it wasn't for companies like Blaze, Britain would be in a worse place. And I just couldn't believe it was happening. So that was a real high. But the low was I knew we were really struggling as a company. And how do you learn from that? You know you're struggling financially, you go and get a solution. So you either shut your doors or you go and get a solution. And the solution for us was finding a partner, like a big brother, if you like, but somebody who had the same values as us, and that's why we're with Balmoral Group. And so that will prevent that happening again. I have that picture on my wall in my office to remind me that we are good, because it's very easy to think something terrible's happened and so everything is terrible, and it's not. You're actually really good at what you do.
But that works both ways as well, doesn't it? Because on the surface, we're all looking at you guys on the doorstep at number 10 going, aren't they amazing? But actually, that's just the outward picture, and actually, we don't know what's going on inside. And I get to learn a lot about what's going on inside a lot of businesses, and they're not all as great as the. And I can understand why we put out a certain image. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And one business owner can tell when another business owner is really hurting because you've been through it. Yeah. And I've seen it this week. I've seen it 3 times this week. People that are really hurting, and you know, it's sometimes just a hand on the shoulder and you just say, I know, because they're working through it. Whatever the situation is, we're in a much better place now, and that's great. But you still know what that pain feels like, because there must be still companies that are struggling to pay. Look at, I could name 2 tier 1s in Aberdeen that are just, anybody who works there must be really concerned just now because they're having a really hard time. We don't wish them ill at all, you know, those companies. But you know, it's just like, get it sorted out, whatever you've got to do, just do it.
What about you, Tracy?
I think my lowest low was burnout. So I ended up on a couch for 2 months, couldn't put a sentence together, couldn't have a conversation. The tipping point was I was a victim of fraud, and they stole my money out of both my business account and my personal account. Thank goodness Santander got the money back the following day, but it tipped me over the edge. I spent a week changing passwords, letting my clients know, doing everything that you needed to do to make sure everything was secure. And then I just sat at my desk. I think I phoned for you tonight, and I was like, I just can't do it anymore. And then I ended up on the couch. For 2 months I lay there, couldn't do anything. But in that time I learned so much about myself, and I learned so much about the fact that it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to ask for help when you're not okay. And I think in business that is one of the biggest things, is ask for help, and it's, you know, and acknowledge when you're not okay. My highs, being awarded, being a finalist for 3 awards. So BizX Awards, which is ActionCOACH, fastest growing business, Entrepreneur of the Year. Oh, it was 2 of them I was awarded. Yeah, so it's Entrepreneur of the Year, fastest growing business, and best business growth. So I applied for these, not even thinking, I was like, I'll just do this, because I still very much was, the imposter syndrome was still there, so I was like, I'll never get these, I'll never be able to do this, I'll never get this, but I'll do it anyway, because Brenda's saying do it, so just do it, let me do it. And I was awarded for 2 of them. I got I was a finalist for 2 of them. And I mean, that for me was just like, wow, I'm a businesswoman. Wow, I can do it. I can do it, I can do it. So it just shows you, you know, you've got to just believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and yeah.
I think for me, one of the low points was definitely when I decided that I was going to focus more on the virtual assistant business and stop doing the gift boxes, because I think internally I was kind of thinking, oh gosh, like, am I just saying like this is a failure, this first business, like I haven't been able to make it work, and that basically it's failed. But and that was really hard. I think I thought, what will people think? I'm not doing this anymore. But actually, now I look at it and I think that's not what it was at all. I saw a different opportunity and I went for it and I pivoted. But it wasn't that the first business failed, it was that it became something else. And if I hadn't had that business, I could never have grown the virtual assistant business to what it is today. So it was definitely such an important part of the journey, but at the time it was really hard to admit to myself, I think, as much as to everybody else, that actually I wasn't going to keep doing it anymore. But then I think the highs, definitely one of the biggest ones was when we got that funding from Young Edge. I think that was the first time that I really thought, wow, like somebody else believes in the business and believes in me, and they're actually willing to give us money for it. And that was such a big vote of confidence, because so often it just feels like you're just plodding along, doing your own thing in your own lane, and nobody really ever tells you if you're doing it right or if you're on the right track. So that was a really big vote of confidence. Actually, we are doing something right, and other people see that and believe in it, not just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Any other questions?
So I have kids and I also have my own business, and I feel like I would happily work every hour of the day if I could, because I love my business. But I'm worried that one day I'm going to wake up and regret it and then spend time or be more present with my kids, which is what I want to do, but I also want to spend time in the business. So I guess I'm asking, if you have kids or other commitments in life that you've had to devote time to find the right work-life balance, like how have you done that? Like has it been a struggle? Like do you regret having the balance that you've had in life?
I was at a talk the other, it was last year, it was through Women's ASB, and it was a lady, she's the second highest paid person in the UK, she's got a phenomenal job, and I know of her, and I was thrilled to listen to her speak, and I ended up in absolute floods of tears, because her story was about her life, her working life, and her biggest regret in her life was not having the time to look after her parents, and she'll have to live with that for the rest of her life. And I was on next, I was emceeing it, and I could not speak for just like a revelation of the same had happened to me. It depends on how big your business is and whether you have freedom or not in your business. But I'd love to know what my kids think. We brought our kids into that's the perfect solution, but not if obviously they're younger. But it was not looking after my father who lived with us, because we were going through a lot of pain at work, and that is probably the biggest regret I have to live with every day. But owning a business is driven on feeling guilty about something at all times, and it's just part of it, I'm afraid. There's no solution unless you have one.
There's definitely a solution. We all talk about work-life balance, but it's such an easy word to just put out there. It is about balancing your time, and it's about looking at your personality, it's about looking at who you are and who you want to be, and finding the tools, finding the techniques that work for you, that allow you to balance that time between your business, and ask for help. Ask for help.
My perspective, my kids are the youngest ones, they've only got another year left of school, and I've been employed in a role that I really enjoyed and I would have done full time, but yeah, there's still school runs to do. I've stayed at home for a while as well, and I was a childminder, so these glamorous looking working mums used to drop their kids off with me looking like a tatty mess, and I was really jealous of them being all being able to go to work. And then when I was working in a job, I was really jealous of the ones that were at home and were able to have all the school holidays off.
Yeah.
So there's no perfect solution, whether it's your own business or whether you're working or whether you're a stay-at-home parent as well. What else was I going to say? Yeah, but having your own business, I think one of my girls is quite vocal about it now, about the role model, that about what you're teaching your kids, about that you can run your own business, that you can do your own thing, and you can build something that's bigger than you. I think is a big legacy that you can be giving them.
Do you work from home? Do you work from home?
Yeah, I work from home. I'm out visiting clients and stuff as well, but yeah, based at home.
Do you know somebody I know, I heard the other day, sorry, I just thought about it, but she's got a daughter who's 7 years old, and she actually has put a little desk together with a little iPad there and a little thing together, and she actually gets her daughter to work with her. So she gives her tasks to do that obviously 7-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever, 6, I can't remember exactly how old she is, but yeah, so while she's working, then the daughter thinks, well, I need to be quiet now because mom's on that meeting and she's given me this task to do. So just an idea. Just an idea. I thought it was quite sweet. Yeah.
And she can't be what she doesn't see. So maybe she'll be a business owner as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I do have a question. Okay, I come from a family of where we're more girls than boys, and I see how my mom usually struggles to pull us through and everything. Everyone's crying, sorry. So
It's fine.
If you cry, I'll cry.
We can all
I can cry at anything.
Do you know, that's the beauty of being a woman in business.
Yeah.
And it's okay if we cry.
Oh yeah.
We're
Oh,
allowed
yeah.
to cry.
sorry, so my question is what do you think should have been done from the initial stage? There's always something we always regret, always tell us the truth. So what do you think, if you had time to go back, you could go back to it and do it, and are you actually happy? Sometimes we do things we want to survive, because I know my mom did a lot of things trying to make sure we survive and everything, but and sometimes I want to ask her were you actually happy? Do you ever find a time to be happy? Knowing that you're doing everything with your children, making sure everybody's going to school, going to be so good, but are you actually happy? So my two questions are, the first one is, if you had time, what could you change at the initial stage of the business? And the second question is that are you actually happy being part of a business that you co-founded or that you own?
That is the best question I've ever had in my 18 years. That's so, because we had a chat before, didn't we, as well? What could you have changed? I wouldn't change anything at the start. That was getting the kids in the business. They weren't academic, they didn't go to university. That's why I've got more money than most people, because university just bleeds money. So they didn't go to university. They came on day one of finishing school in the 5th year. They came to Blaze and they worked. They've done every job at Blaze, and it was an absolute making of it. They're completely different personalities, so I don't regret that. I don't regret them working into the business. Looking back, we've been at 18 years. That's really quite, because we all have illnesses. We all have stress-related illnesses. I have an autoimmune condition that's really limiting. Howard has Crohn's, which is stress-related. Jamie has type 1 diabetes. And there are times where I've said this company has destroyed us as people. And you have to look back on the pluses and the minuses. Would I live in the house I live in if it wasn't for Blaze? But I wouldn't care where we lived. Because it's not about the house, it's not about the cow. I was joking before, my cow's worth £1,500, I absolutely love it, and I will not sell it, my husband goes daft. Whereas other people are driving around in Range Rovers, and that's, and I pitch up in I've got a little convertible, and it's just worth nothing, and I just love it. And everyone goes, oh, it's a really cool car, as they're getting in their 70 grand or 100 grand Range Rover. It's about personality.
Perspective.
If I could go back, I'd do a lot of things differently, a huge amount differently. I've learned so much, and that's why I want to help other people not make the same mistakes we've made. As a family, we're very close, but it's put a massive strain on the family. It really has. Jamie's in that shipyard just now, and it breaks my heart when he phones me. And maybe there's a problem on the shipyard, because shipyards are notoriously difficult. He comes home on Saturday. He's been there for 2 weeks, and he's been ill while he's been there with the flu, which is really hard, and it's been over 30 degrees every day because it's in Holland. So, am I happy? Yes, but it's because of people. It's nothing to do with how much money we've made or how big the company is. The company's probably too big. I wish it was smaller. Because the bigger it gets, the harder it is, the more people you have. I said last night at a meeting I was at, you know, we employ 50 people. Law of averages, someone's having something really bad happening in their life at any one time, and you're there to support them because they're part of your family, if they're part of your company. But that's a lot of responsibility to take. It's a really, really insightful question. I am happy, but it's very, very stressful, and you can't do it forever. I just love you. You're just really great. Are you happy?
I'm happy. I would say that pre-burnout and post-burnout are very much part of my life, because pre-burnout I was very much geared to, I want to be rich, I want to make money. I still do, and I still believe that abundance is mine. I still believe I'm allowed to have that if I want it, but I won't do it to the detriment of myself or the people close to me. No. I don't think I probably wouldn't have done it then, but I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of the things I needed to do and the safeguards and the boundaries that I needed to put in place to make sure that we look after ourselves first. And that's what it is about now. And you've got the opportunity starting out to do something different and make it a different way and be there for your mom and your family and everyone around you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
I just wonder if there's a woman that's inspired you.
Oh, good question.
I had somebody come and work for me. Her name is Karim Hurtig. It is Karim Hurtig, she's not dead. She works for DC Thompson now. And I saw her last week, and I said to her, she said, "Oh, you're doing so well, well done." And I said, "You have taught me everything that I know." She was incredible. And you always think role models are people above you, but very often they're you know, you've employed them or you just know them and they do a different job. And she told me in very harsh terms that I should dress up at work. I was a role model at work, and I used to wear jeans and a jumper. Because I never went out to see the clients, I was just doing accounts and various admin things. And she said, everyone's looking to you. So I really smartened up my act. I started to wear makeup and do my hair and wear proper clothes. And around me, everyone else did as well. It's incredible how looking after how you look improves everyone else. I got a piece of advice once that's brilliant. If you're in a bad mood or you're annoyed at somebody at work, don't go into work that day, work from home. Because if you walk through the door and you're looking worried or angry, everyone will assume something's wrong. So just stay away. Stay away.
Really good lesson. Yeah.
There's been a few people in my life, a few ladies. My mother-in-law,
Oh,
she was amazing. I had a woman that when I started with oil and gas, I started working for an American lady named Cindy Crawford. The original Cindy Crawford, because she's older than that. But anyway, she really believed in me, and she was the reason why I got to work internationally and the reason why I'm here. So I think she really was a big inspiration for me. And then now, this lady over here.
thank you.
We were at an event on Tuesday, and one of the speakers asked a question about who out of your circle, who in your business really inspires you, and what is one of the values, one of the reasons why they inspire you and the value. And I think very much I put Brenda's name down. And I said Brenda, and because she holds me accountable, and she sees the big picture, and the value I think is very much connection. That's what I'm
No,
Say
thank you.
Mine is somebody that I've never met. Her name is Grace Beverly. She is also a young woman who runs a business. I think she's 28, but she runs a sustainable clothing business called TopPA, and it's like a massive business now, like a multi-million-pound business. But I've always followed her and kind of looked up to her because she's really kind of created that path for herself. And when I was first starting out, she was somebody that was in that space when there weren't so many people that you could see that were my age and were women doing business and in business. So yeah, I love following her journey. I mean, she's like a massive influencer now.
Can I answer the question as well, if that's okay? I'm not going to name them, but as a podcaster, I get to talk to a lot of people, and some people open up, not necessarily on when we're recording, about things that have happened to them and challenges that they've had that have driven them to, everything that happens to you makes you the person that you are now. So somebody that I interviewed and then I just stopped, and she said, yeah, because like a couple of years ago I had this terrible divorce with this abusive partner, and I was like, I wish that would have been on camera, because everybody would, that's something that when we hear about the adversity that other people have been through, you think, well, if they can go through that, then I can cope with this that I'm going through at the moment. I had somebody reach out to me and wanted to tell me terrible stories of alcoholic parent, sexual abuse, controlling relationships, stalking, lots and lots of stories through her life, and actually she's doing really well. Somebody else told me about an abusive relationship that she'd been in, and her business has enabled her to, pick herself back up again and, create an income and create jobs. And, obviously when she was at the lowest point of that in her personal life, we couldn't have imagined her where she is now. So lots of people with a backstory that have inspired me, not famous people or anything, just people that you would think on the surface are just like you and me, but have been through so much and are still pushing for success, I guess. Any other questions?
I think that's a good recipe for that is a drive behind, because so many people have those challenges, but I think if you go through something so awful and manage to get through it, it maybe gives you inspiration to do. Like, what else can go wrong if you handle it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is. Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and if I got through that, which is like for some of us, hearing the story sounds like the worst thing that could ever happen to some people. So then any other challenge that they have after that, nothing can be as bad as that thing that happened. Yeah.
Resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I found the most fun people are the ones that have had mental health issues, because if you've had mental health issues, depression or anxiety, or which so many people have, if you can work through it and get help and work through it, when you come out the other side, life's amazing, because that's when it's not that you don't care what other people think, because you do genuinely care, you can be very hurt, but you care less, because you just think, what I've been through is so hard and so bad that life's never going to be like that again, because I know I have the tools now to get through it. But I also appreciate when somebody doesn't want to get on a plane, or they don't want to speak in front of people, or it can be any number of things. I understand, and I think that's quite, it's an attractive thing. It's like kindness, and it's very attractive, and I don't mean in a sexual way at all, just to other people. People tend to be drawn to you because you're kinder. You're just kinder because you know it's tough and you know it's hard. So I think it gives you a bit of armour as well, actually.
No, definitely. You see things in a different light. I think the harder your life has been, the more it's like the difference of being able to watch a scary movie or not. So some people can't watch scary movies at all because they have never been exposed to anything to that degree. But other people have lived the scariness. So watching a scary movie is like, it's a driver. It could be a driver for other people.
Any more questions? We're over time, actually. Got a bit distracted there with everybody's questions and answers. I thank you very much to my guests and to Gail and Kellyanne for facilitating us actually being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.